Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My dear brothers and sisters, today I stand before you to remind us all of one powerful truth. Allah has a plan for each of us, and it is a plan that surpasses anything we could ever imagine. Our hearts burdened with worry may struggle to see it, but Allah's plan is always unfolding in the perfect way and at the perfect time. Let us begin by acknowledging something so simple yet profound: trust in Allah. How often do we find ourselves consumed by worries about the future? How many sleepless nights have we spent trying to figure out what will happen next in our lives? Allah reminds us in the Quran, "And put your trust in Allah, and sufficient is Allah as a trustee." Quran 33:3. The first step toward peace is simply this: to surrender our will to His. We all know what it's like to worry. Some of us worry about money. Will we be able to provide for our families? Some worry about health. What if something happens to us or our loved ones? Others worry about the future. What is our purpose? What will we become? But my dear friends, Allah is reminding us that this worry is a heavy burden. In Surah Ash-Shar, Allah tells us, "Indeed with hardship comes ease." Quran 94:6. But how can we find ease if our hearts are so heavy with anxiety? The key is trust, trusting that everything, even the hardships, are part of Allah's beautiful plan for us. When we put our trust in Allah, the worry starts to lift. When we realize that He is in control, and that He knows what's best for us, even when we don't understand it, we begin to experience a peace that no amount of worrying could ever bring. Brothers and sisters, have you ever found that just when you were about to give up, something happened? Someone called you, or you came across a verse from the Quran, or you had a moment of reflection that completely changed your perspective. Allah has a way of sending us signs at exactly the right time. He knows what you need before you even ask. He will send His mercy to you in ways you least expect. Take the story of Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, who was fleeing from Pharaoh, with no escape in sight. His people were in despair, and the sea lay before them, seemingly an insurmountable obstacle. But Musa trusted in Allah, and when the moment seemed impossible, Allah parted the sea for him. Isn't that a reminder for us today? Whatever your obstacle, whatever your worry, trust in Allah. He will provide a way when there seems to be no way. The journey of trust, however, is not always immediate. There are times when we will be tested, when the road will seem long and full of hardship. But it is during these times that Allah calls us to patience. The Quran tells us, "So be patient. Indeed, the promise of Allah is truth." Quran 30:60. Our patience is what strengthens our trust in Him. It is not about rushing to find solutions, but about relying on Allah's perfect timing. And during that journey, remember to be grateful. Gratitude, even in trials, is a mark of a believer who trusts in Allah. Imagine the feeling of standing before Allah on the Day of Judgment, knowing that every trial you endured was for a greater purpose, a greater reward. Your patience and gratitude in the face of hardship will be honored, inshallah. When we truly trust in Allah, He blesses us in ways that we cannot even comprehend. When we stop trying to control every detail of our lives and surrender to His plan, that's when the blessings begin to pour forth. In Surah An-Nisa, Allah reminds us, "Indeed your Lord is full of bounty to the people, but most of them do not give thanks." Quran 34:13. The blessings that come from trusting Allah are endless. Peace in our hearts, guidance in our decisions, and success that is written in the book of Allah for us. I encourage you today, my brothers and sisters, to place your trust in Allah, to stop worrying about the future, and to believe that His plan for you is far better than anything you can imagine. Your worries, your struggles, they are part of the story that Allah is writing for you. And at the perfect moment, you will see His mercy, His wisdom and His blessings unfold in your life. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. My dear brothers and sisters, when we start a journey, we often feel the need to know the destination, the route, and the plan for every step along the way. It is a natural human tendency to want control over the outcome, to understand the path clearly, and to feel a sense of security in what lies ahead. However, what we sometimes fail to realize is that true peace and contentment come not from knowing every detail of the road ahead, but from surrendering to the one who controls the entire journey, Allah, the creator of the heavens and the earth. When we begin any endeavor, especially one as meaningful as the pursuit of faith and fulfillment, the first step is to truly surrender to Allah's will. Surrendering does not mean giving up or resigning oneself to a passive existence, but rather it is an act of deep trust, a realization that Allah is the best planner, and that whatever happens is part of a greater design. that we may not fully understand in the moment. We often think we know what is best for ourselves, but in truth, Allah knows what is best for us, far better than we could ever imagine. He is not only the creator, but the sustainer of everything in this world, and He has created us with purpose and wisdom. This concept of surrender is beautifully captured in the Quran, where Allah commands us to place our trust in Him, to submit to His will, and to recognize that He is the ultimate protector, provider, and guide. In Surah At-Tawbah 9:51, Allah reminds us, "Say never will we be struck except by what Allah has decreed for us. He is our protector, and upon Allah let the believers rely." This verse teaches us that whatever happens, good or bad, is by the decree of Allah. There is no such thing as coincidence or chance. Everything is part of a plan that is unfolding in ways that we, with our limited understanding, might not fully comprehend. When we trust in Him completely, we stop trying to control the outcome and start allowing Allah to guide us in ways that are far better than what we could have planned for ourselves. To trust Allah is to accept that we don't need to have all the answers right now. It means that we can step into the unknown with faith, knowing that whatever comes our way will be exactly what we need. This trust frees us from the anxiety of feeling like we must have everything figured out, or that we must force certain outcomes. Allah's wisdom is infinite, and He has planned for us far more than we could ever envision. There is a sense of relief that comes with realizing that we are not alone in the process, and that we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. When we trust Allah, we give ourselves permission to let go of the burden of worry and uncertainty. One of the most important aspects of surrendering to Allah is acknowledging that the journey we are on is not about us alone. We may face challenges, hardships, and tests along the way, but these are not signs of Allah's abandonment. In fact, they are opportunities for growth, refinement, and spiritual elevation. Allah does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear, and each test is a chance to deepen our reliance on Him and draw closer to our Creator. In Surah Al-Baqarah 286, Allah says, "Allah does not burden a soul beyond that it can bear." This verse serves as a reminder that every difficulty we face is within our capacity to endure, as long as we place our trust in Him. The act of surrender is not passive, it is an active engagement of the heart, a conscious decision to rely on Allah and submit to His will. It is a commitment to patience and perseverance, knowing that the outcome will always be what is best for us in the long run. When we make this choice, we begin to see the world through a lens of trust, where every situation becomes an opportunity to strengthen our faith. Whether in times of joy or sorrow, success or failure, we learn to say Alhamdulillah, knowing that everything is part of Allah's perfect plan. True trust in Allah comes from understanding that His wisdom is beyond our limited perception. He knows the unseen, and He knows the consequences of every decision we make. When we surrender to Allah, we allow His infinite wisdom to guide us, and in doing so we open ourselves to the blessings and mercy that come from complete submission. This is the essence of what it means to have tawakkul, relying on Allah, while also taking the necessary steps to achieve our goals. Tawakkul is not about sitting back and waiting for things to happen. It is about putting in our best effort, while trusting Allah with the outcome. As we move forward in life, one of the most common feelings we experience is worry. It's a human instinct to feel concerned about the unknown, whether it's our health, our finances, our relationships, or our future. The mind constantly churns with questions. What will happen if I don't succeed? How will I provide for my family? What if things don't work out the way I hope? These worries, whether big or small, seem to multiply the more we try to control them. They become an overwhelming force, filling our hearts with fear and anxiety. Yet despite all this, we are reminded in the Quran that worrying does not change the course of our lives, and in fact it only weakens us. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, has given us the solution to this overwhelming burden of worry: trust. Allah promises us, time and again, that He is our protector, our provider, and our guide. In Surah Al-Imran 3:159, He says, "And when you have decided, then rely upon Allah. Indeed, Allah loves those who rely upon Him." This verse illustrates the power of trusting Allah's plan. It tells us that once we have made a decision, once we have done our best, the next step is to trust that Allah will take care of the rest. The worry doesn't change the outcome, it only tires us and distracts us from focusing on the important tasks ahead. Allah reminds us that we don't need to carry the weight of our burdens alone. When we rely on Him, we will find peace amidst the uncertainty. Worry can often feel like an endless cycle. We worry about things that have not yet happened, about problems that may never arise, and about situations that are beyond our control. This cycle of fear and anxiety can paralyze us, making us feel as though we are stuck in a constant state of stress. The more we try to predict the future and control every variable, the more we realize how little control we truly have. It's as though we are trying to swim against a current, only to exhaust ourselves and find no progress. Yet Allah tells us in the Quran that He is the best of planners, and that He will never leave us alone in our struggles. Think for a moment about the times in your life when things seemed hopeless, when everything around you felt uncertain, and you didn't know what would happen next. Reflect on those moments when you were filled with worry, questioning how things would unfold. Now think back to how things turned out. How many times have you found that the outcome was not only okay, but perhaps even better than you expected? That is the beauty of Allah's plan. It is often only after the trial has passed that we see His hand guiding us, shaping us, and leading us to something greater. The worry in the end was unnecessary, because Allah had already prepared the path for us. In times of difficulty, it's natural to feel that we are alone in our struggles, that our burdens are too heavy to carry. But Allah assures us that He is always with us. In Surah Ash-Shah 94:5-6, Allah says, "For indeed with hardship will be ease. Indeed with hardship will be ease." This promise of ease following hardship is not just a general statement, it is a divine guarantee. Whatever difficulty we are facing right now, it is only temporary. Allah has designed every hardship with a balance of ease that will follow. This promise should bring us comfort and peace, because it reminds us that no matter how tough the road may seem, Allah's mercy and help are always just around the corner. All we have to do is trust in His timing. Worry also distracts us from the present moment. We become so focused on what might happen that we forget to appreciate what is happening right now. Our blessings, the things that are working in our favor, are often overshadowed by our fears. Allah in His mercy is constantly showering us with His gifts, but we may fail to notice them because we are too preoccupied with our concerns. Trusting Allah means letting go of the grip of worry and allowing ourselves to be present, to focus on what is in our control, and to remember that Allah has already planned for everything. We are not alone in our worries. The prophets themselves experienced trials, but they turned to Allah in full trust. Prophet Jonah, for instance, was swallowed by a whale, trapped in darkness and despair, yet he turned to Allah with absolute faith. His words, "There is no deity except you, exalted are you. Indeed I have been of the wrongdoers," Quran 21:87, were a reminder of his complete trust in Allah's mercy. Even in his most desperate moment, he knew that only Allah could change his circumstances. This is the power of trust in Allah. It frees us from the chains of worry and fear, replacing them with hope, faith, and the belief that no matter how dire the situation may seem, Allah's plan is always better than we can imagine. It is easy to get caught up in the what-ifs of life, to become anxious about things that are beyond our control, but Allah has given us the tools to overcome these worries. Reliance on Him, patience in the face of difficulty, and faith that He will provide for us when we need it most. The next time you find yourself overwhelmed by worry, take a step back, breathe, and remind yourself, Allah is in control, and His plan for you is always perfect. Let go of the weight of worry, and replace it with trust.
When we talk about trusting Allah's plan, it's important to recognize that Allah doesn't just leave us to face our challenges in isolation. He sends us signs, guidance, and messages at precisely the right moment, at times when we most need them. These signs may not always appear in the ways we expect, nor at the times we want, but they always come in the form and timing that are best suited for us. The signs of Allah's mercy, guidance, and wisdom are scattered throughout our lives, sometimes hidden in the most unexpected places, waiting for us to recognize them and turn to Him. Allah in His infinite wisdom knows exactly when to intervene in our lives. He knows the exact moment when we will be most receptive to His guidance, and He sends us signs that are meant to guide us back to the right path, to remind us of His presence, and to reassure us that we are not alone in our struggles. The Quran tells us that Allah is closer to us than our jugular vein, Quran 50:16, a reminder that He is always near, watching over us, and ready to assist us when we turn to Him. His signs can come in the form of a chance meeting with someone who offers us the advice we need, a verse from the Quran that speaks directly to our current situation, or a subtle feeling in our hearts that guides us to make the right decision. It is easy to overlook these signs when we are preoccupied with worry or doubt. Our hearts can become clouded by anxiety, making it hard for us to see the guidance Allah has sent us. However, when we learn to trust in Allah's plan, we begin to open our hearts to the signs He places before us. Allah in His mercy does not leave us to navigate the complexities of life alone. Instead, He sends us reminders and signs, sometimes subtle, sometimes profound, that help us find our way. The key is in recognizing these signs, accepting them with an open heart, and trusting that they are part of a greater plan designed specifically for us. One beautiful example of this is found in the story of Prophet Moses, when he was at a point of absolute despair. He had fled Egypt to escape the wrath of Pharaoh, and he found himself at the shores of the Red Sea with his followers, pursued by Pharaoh's army. The situation seemed utterly hopeless, and the people were filled with fear and doubt. Yet in that moment of desperation, when there appeared to be no way out, Allah sent the sign. He commanded Musa to strike the sea with his staff, and the waters parted, creating a path for them to walk through. This miraculous event was not just an act of divine intervention. It was a reminder that Allah's plan is always greater than our understanding, and that He has the power to provide a way when there seems to be no way. The story of Musa teaches us an important lesson. When we trust in Allah, He will send us the signs we need at the exact moment we need them. Our job is not to control the outcome, but to place our trust in Allah's wisdom and timing. Musa did not know how Allah would deliver him from his predicament, but he trusted that Allah would. And when the moment came, Allah's guidance arrived in a form that Musa could not have anticipated, yet it was perfect for the situation. In our own lives, we may face moments of uncertainty, when we feel as though we are standing at the edge of a sea with no way forward. It is in these moments that we must remember the story of Prophet Musa and reflect on the signs Allah has sent us. Perhaps it is a word of comfort from a friend, a verse from the Quran that resonates with our current struggles, or even a new opportunity that appears when we least expect it. Allah sends us signs through people, through circumstances, and even through the quiet whispers of our hearts. The challenge is in recognizing them and having the faith to follow the guidance He provides. Sometimes the signs are not as dramatic as the parting of the Red Sea, but they are no less significant. Allah may send us small, seemingly insignificant reminders that in hindsight turn out to be pivotal moments in our lives. A seemingly chance encounter with someone who offers us the advice we need, an unexpected opportunity that opens the door to a new chapter in life, or even a moment of clarity in our hearts when we least expect it. These are all signs of Allah's mercy and guidance. When we trust Allah, we begin to see that every event, every moment, is part of a divine plan, and that every sign is meant to lead us towards something greater. Ultimately, the most important lesson here is that Allah is constantly guiding us, even when we are not fully aware of it. His signs are present in every aspect of our lives, waiting for us to recognize them and turn to Him. The more we trust Allah's plan and remain open to the signs He sends, the more we will see His guidance unfold in our lives. It is this trust that brings us peace in the midst of uncertainty, knowing that no matter what happens, Allah is always with us, showing us the way. Patience and gratitude are two of the most powerful qualities that a believer can possess, especially when it comes to trusting in Allah's plan. Life is a series of tests, some small and some monumental, but in all cases, Allah calls us to exercise patience. Patience is not merely about waiting for a situation to change. It is about maintaining our faith and composure during times of difficulty, trusting that Allah knows what is best for us, and that His plan is unfolding in ways that will bring us ultimate good. When we face challenges, it is easy to feel overwhelmed, frustrated, and even hopeless. In the midst of hardship, we often question, why is this happening to me? Or how much longer will I have to endure this? These are natural human reactions, but they can also pull us away from the path of trusting Allah's plan. Allah never promised that life would be without hardship. In fact, He explicitly tells us in the Quran that we will be tested. Do not think that you will enter paradise without being tested like those who passed before you. Quran 2:214. Trials are part of the human experience, and Allah uses them as a means to purify us, to help us grow, and to bring us closer to Him. However, the key to navigating these trials with grace and wisdom is patience. In Surah Al-Baqarah 2:153, Allah reminds us, O you who have believed, seek help through patience and prayer. Indeed, Allah is with the patient. This verse offers us a powerful reminder that when we are faced with difficulties, we should not be discouraged or overwhelmed. Instead, we should seek help through two things: patience and prayer. Patience helps us maintain our faith in Allah's timing, while prayer connects us to Allah, allowing us to seek His guidance, support, and mercy during the trial. Patience, however, is not passive. It is an active decision to remain steadfast in our trust in Allah, to wait with hope and reliance on His mercy. It is easy to be patient when things are going well, but true patience is revealed in moments of hardship. It is the ability to endure difficulties with a heart that is not hardened by frustration, anger, or despair, but instead remains soft, hopeful, and trusting in Allah's wisdom. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us that patience is a quality that Allah loves, and that those who are patient will be rewarded in ways they could not have imagined. In a beautiful hadith, the Prophet said, "Whoever remains patient, Allah will make him patient." No one is given a blessing better and more abundant than patience. Sahih Muslim. Along with patience, gratitude plays an equally important role in trusting Allah's plan. Gratitude is not just about thanking Allah for the good times, but also acknowledging His wisdom during times of difficulty. It is easy to be grateful when we are experiencing ease, but true gratitude is shown when we recognize the blessings in our lives, even in the midst of hardship. Allah has granted us countless blessings, both big and small, and sometimes it is in our darkest moments that we need to remind ourselves of these blessings. In Surah Ibrahim 14:7, Allah promises, "If you are grateful, I will surely increase your favor upon you." Gratitude opens the door to more of Allah's mercy and blessings. When we are grateful, we acknowledge that everything we have, our health, our family, our provisions, comes from Allah. Even in times of struggle, we can be grateful for the strength He has given us, for the lessons we are learning, and for the opportunities we have to grow closer to Him. Gratitude shifts our perspective from focusing on what we lack to appreciating what we have, and in doing so it brings peace to the heart. Gratitude also helps us to trust Allah's plan, because it reminds us of His constant presence in our lives. When we remember the blessings we have, we recognize that Allah is never absent, even when we feel lost or hopeless. His mercy is all-encompassing, and His provisions are endless. By being grateful, we acknowledge that Allah's plan is perfect, even if it doesn't align with our expectations. Often the trials we face are part of a larger plan that we cannot yet comprehend, but gratitude allows us to trust that what Allah has chosen for us is for our ultimate good. Patience and gratitude work hand in hand. Patience allows us to endure hardship with a heart that trusts in Allah's timing, and gratitude helps us to recognize the blessings and lessons that come with every trial. Together, these two qualities transform our struggles into opportunities for growth. When we trust Allah and remain patient, we open ourselves to the blessings that He has prepared for us. We begin to see the beauty in life's challenges, understanding that each difficulty is an invitation to draw closer to Allah, to strengthen our character, and to develop a deeper sense of reliance on Him. As we journey through life, there comes a time when we must confront the realization that our understanding of what is best for us is limited. We are often caught in the trap of envisioning certain outcomes, imagining how we want things to unfold, and feeling anxious when things don't go as planned. This desire for control can sometimes cloud our judgment and prevent us from seeing the broader picture. However, Allah reminds us that He knows what is truly best for us, even when our desires and expectations do not align with the course He has set for us. This is where true trust in Allah's plan becomes essential. We are taught in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah 2:216, that perhaps you hate something and it is good for you, or you love something and it is bad for you, and Allah knows, while you do not know. This verse encapsulates the essence of trusting Allah's wisdom over our own understanding. It is easy to assume that we know what is best for us, especially when we are faced with decisions or challenges that seem to have clear answers. However, we must acknowledge that our perception is limited by time, knowledge, and experience. Allah, on the other hand, is the creator of everything, and His wisdom is infinite. He knows the unseen, the future, and the true consequences of every choice we make. One of the most powerful lessons in trusting Allah's plan is understanding that what we perceive as a setback or a failure may actually be a blessing in disguise. Sometimes we face challenges that seem insurmountable, situations that make us feel helpless or defeated. It could be a job that didn't work out, a relationship that ended, or an illness that changes the course of our life. In those moments, it is natural to question Allah's plan and wonder why things are not going the way we hoped. But the reality is that Allah is guiding us in ways we may not yet understand. He might be protecting us from something harmful, redirecting us to something better, or teaching us a lesson that will benefit us in the future. The story of Prophet Joseph is one of the most poignant examples of this. His life was full of trials, beginning with being thrown into a well by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and eventually imprisoned unjustly. From the outside, his life seemed like a series of unfortunate events. Yet when we look deeper, we see that every step of his journey was part of a greater plan. The betrayal by his brothers, the hardship in prison, the years of separation from his family, All of these experiences brought him to a position of power in Egypt, where he was able to save his family and many others from famine. If any one of those events had not occurred, his ultimate success would not have been possible. Allah's plan was far greater than Yusuf could have ever imagined, and it was only when he reflected on his journey that he could see the wisdom in the trials he had endured. Similarly, in our own lives we may face circumstances that seem unfair, frustrating or even painful. But just like Prophet Yusuf, we must trust that Allah has a greater plan for us, even when we don't understand the reasons behind our struggles. There may be times when things do not go as we hoped, when the doors we have tried to open remain closed, or when the outcomes we desire seem impossible. These are the moments when our trust in Allah becomes crucial. We must believe that Allah is not punishing us but instead leading us towards something better, even if that path is not immediately clear to us. Trusting in Allah's plan also means having the patience to wait for His timing. In our fast-paced world, we are accustomed to instant results, quick fixes, and immediate gratification. However, Allah's plan often unfolds slowly, over time, and we must learn to trust in the process. Just as a seed takes time to grow into a tree, our own growth and the fulfillment of Allah's plan for us may take years, even decades, to fully materialize. The key is to be patient, to continue striving, and to maintain our faith in Allah, knowing that every step we take brings us closer to the fulfillment of His will. One of the most powerful ways to strengthen our trust in Allah is to reflect on the countless blessings He has already bestowed upon us. When we look back on our lives, we can often see how Allah has guided us through difficult times, even when we did not realize it at the time. The relationships we cherish, the opportunities that have shaped our paths, and even the challenges that have helped us grow, all of these are part of Allah's plan. When we acknowledge these blessings, we are reminded of Allah's mercy and wisdom, and this strengthens our trust in His continued guidance. In the end, trusting Allah's plan is not about abandoning our own efforts or desires. It is about recognizing that, while we are responsible for taking the necessary steps in our lives, the outcome is ultimately in Allah's hands. We must trust that He will guide us to what is best for us, even when it doesn't look the way we expected. Allah knows our needs, our hearts and our struggles far better than we do. By placing our full trust in Him, we can move forward with confidence, knowing that the plan He has for us is the best one, and that His wisdom far exceeds our understanding.